Join us by the fireside for our evening tales of true life's strange experiences with things that lie beyond the veil of the known and into the misty depths of the mysterious and unknown. The room in the basement. Growing up, my family moved around quite a bit due to divorces and stuff, renting, moving to permanent homes, etc. In my childhood home, my brother and I would regularly play in the basement. However, one room made both of us unexplainably uneasy. We didn't like to walk by it at the end of the hallway, wouldn't use the bathroom by it, would never leave each other alone in the basement, etc. It was a negative, heavy feeling neither of us could describe at a young age. This room was our guest bedroom. We never had guests stay the night, so it was always unoccupied. There was a bedroom set with an old wooden frame bed and chest. It came from my dad's family and he always kept it around, despite my mom's protests and wanting to change the room to something more useful. Years later, talking to my dad about the dislike for this room and the negative presence I felt around it, he told me his stories within this house. He used to use the bathroom across the hall from the room and would leave the door cracked since no one was down there anyways. And he would always see something going past the door, like someone going past the door up and down the hallway. My brother, as a baby, would look over his shoulder while being held staring at something, and sometimes giggling at an empty space in the room. My dad eventually yelled at it to get the hell out. And after that, my brother never laughed or stared at empty spaces, and my dad only felt the presence in the room and in the basement hall. So obviously, at this point, I conclude this entity has a connection to my dad. So later in my early teens, my parents are divorced and my dad moves out, taking his furniture with him. We end up not in a good place, disliking each other, arguing, a rift between us. This presence always felt to me to be around this bedroom set, and once we move, the negative, heavy feeling is still in this guest bedroom with this furniture. As our arguing gets worse, I feel the presence all the time, catching glimpses of someone, something in mirrors, in reflections of glass in my dreams. I always felt watched and looked over. I start getting sleep paralysis, and this entity that looks like a young adult woman with long dark hair starts in the corner of my room and eventually is weighing down on my chest and suffocating me. I wake up gasping for air multiple times, and eventually a bruise on my chest appears. I catch it in the reflection of the TV the next day and feel like I can't breathe. I mentioned about this weird experience to my massage therapist that's very spiritual, and she shuddered when she touched my chest and described the entity exactly as I saw it in the reflections and my sleep paralysis. It's been a year now, and my dad and I have mended. The presence remains in the guest bedroom and always will until my dad gets rid of this attachment with this ghost, I think. He knows that he has a ghost attached to him, but lives peacefully with it. My witch friend gave me a protection ball and ways to seal off to the guest bedroom, and since then it has left me alone. She asked me to do a ritual asking it what it wants with a pen and paper, but I'm even more scared to see the response. Are you sure your dad didn't kill his partner? And ask your friend to do the ritual herself if you don't want to? LOL. He definitely did not. My mom is still alive and well, and his current partner is as well. I've moved out of his place. I tried to have her come to cleanse and do the ritual, but he doesn't want them coming into the house and didn't want to elaborate on why. The Hitchiker. I'm a truckie. Mainly do all road train work from Brisbane up around the top of Australia to Perth and along the Nullarbor. Seen some strange shit, but nothing like this, mate. Never really ventured into Victoria and New South Wales due to scalies and revenue raising, but had to do an express run to Melbourne via Sydney and had to come back up the Newell Highway to collect a load to Toowoomba. My boss said, I don't mind if you pull up before you get around Coonabarabran. as some drivers choose not to go through at night, with a giggle in his voice. I said, "Ah, she'll be right, mate. Plenty of hours left, all good," so I hooked in. It was in between Coonabarabran and Narrabri, and a woman out of nowhere flagged me down, hitchhiking, looking to go home to her camp, and I thought, what the hell is this crap? I said, "Hop in," and the hair stood up all over my body with an instant thought I should have kept going. She stunk like nothing I smelt before, and the cab was destroyed with stench. She didn't say a word and just gazed ahead. About 20 kilometers down the road, and not passing one vehicle, the old woman said here, "This is it." And I had to stop in a gully. And off she went with a bag. No thanks, nothing. I looked around, but not a thing in sight, with no lights or tracks or anything. Glad she was gone because my guts were almost ready to explode. Pulled up the other side of Narrabri for a few hours and decided to get going at daybreak, but had to sleep in the trailer because the smell was horrible. Woke up to another truckie kicking his tires doing a pre-start, and I climbed out, to which he replied, "Hell, mate, they're working you pretty hard." I continued to explain the cab's absolutely stinking from the hitchhiker lady, and he went pale white and told me exactly where it happened. I said, "Yes, mate." And he said, "Mate, that nutter was run over back in 1993 by a truck." I gulped and thought, what the hell is going on? Is this for real? This was in 2014, and to this day, never have been anywhere near that part of New South Wales. Pilaga Princess is real for sure. I told the boss, and he laughed and said, "There's coldies in the fridge, so hurry the hell up." He showed me the camera in the truck shows the passenger door open by itself and close by itself as I'm looking across talking, but nothing on the video of her, just thin air. This made me nauseous. There's a similar story here in the States, and I've seen surveillance of the gas station where she gets dropped off at. She has destroyed the gas station multiple times. Video even made the local news. The nighttime stroll. I decided to take a nighttime stroll sometime between 12 to 1 a.m. range and left my apartment. I walked along the road that led to the woods nearby and contemplated on whether to follow the road that led through the woods. I decided against it as I wasn't stupid and it was pitch black with zero lights and only able to see a few feet in front of you. So I decided to head back home. I barely walked 15 feet from the woods and I heard footsteps directly behind me. I turned and see no one, and it continued every time I started walking back. Problem was, there was no hiding spots for someone to hide if they were following me, and the footsteps sounded like they were only 2 to 3 feet at most away. I also used to watch those haunted house reenactments, so what I got from those was that ghosts react to fear. So if it was some spirit, I shouldn't act scared. So instead, I laughed when I heard the steps again. This time, it seemed to stop. I got home and went to bed, and that same night I was woken abruptly about an hour later to a guy saying, "Psst." I looked around and no one was there, so I just said aloud, "Not right now, I'm trying to sleep," and went back to bed. Thing is, if it was just a second thing, I could explain it off, but they happened same night, so it felt like they were connected. It was one off, as it never happened again. Otherwise, I would have went to get checked out, LOL.